everyone, and welcome to our webinar. I'm Eleanor Ham, President of the RVD of Canada, and I'm pleased to introduce an exciting new member benefit that will provide valuable market intelligence and insights for our dealers across the country. As many of you know, the pre-owned market continues to evolve, and staying ahead of the trends is key to maintaining a competitive advantage. That's why we're proud to announce a new endorsement program and a partnership with Waterfall Analytics, a trusted leader in data-driven solutions for Canadian pre-owned RV sales. This partnership provides RVD of Canada members with access to a powerful suite of digital dashboards, enabling dealerships to analyze market trends, optimize pricing strategies, and make data-driven decisions with confidence. Through this program, dealers can track sales performance, compare pricing trends, and gain valuable insights into the pre-owned RV market, all with an exclusive member discount. So to walk us through the program, I'm pleased to introduce today's speakers. First of all, we've got Nick Farnell, the founder of Waterfall Analytics and a professor of business analytics who brings extensive expertise in data intelligence and market analysis. As well, joining us is Dale Hopkins, our RVD of Canada past chair, who will highlight how this program can be used at the dealership level. So with that, let's get started. Nick, I'll turn it over to you to talk about why data matters for pre-owned RV sales and to talk a little bit about the pre-owned RV market.
And thanks for that introduction. As mentioned, my name is Nick Farnell. I'm a professor of analytics and got started in this project a couple of years ago. So think back to the pandemic, things were going up and down, and it really started when we had a difficult time finding campsites. We do a lot of camping in Ontario, and there was a bunch of other unusual things happening. Travel was going up and down. Even things like used sports cards were really going up and down. Real estate, of course, was going up and down. And I noticed that there wasn't any good tools out there to monitor the pre-owned RV market. So I started this project a little while ago and had a lot of good feedback from existing dealers to help reduce some of that uncertainty. So the whole goal here is to be able to have a pretty good historical vision of what has happened in the past and then what's likely to happen in the future. I think everybody here has a good kind of gut instinct as to, for example, what a unit's going to sell for or how long it's going to stay on a lot. But being able to back that up with real data, that means less guessing and less uncertainty. And yeah, it's been a great project so far, and happy to be here.
So in terms of the data itself, you know, can you tell us a little bit about how you get your data sources and how frequently it's updated? Kind of accuracy, reliability, just a bit of a background on that.
Yeah, sure. So we monitor about 300 or so pre-owned lots in Canada. So it's all Canadian data. As for the timelines, we refresh every single week. So that gives us a really good picture of how things are moving, and we can catch those trends fairly easily. So we have pretty good coverage across the country. We monitor, give or take, about 85% of all of the pre-owned units that are available at dealers is what we're looking at. And then we aggregate everything together into a fairly easy to work with dashboard. So that data is updated every Tuesday morning, so fresh data for the week. And that allows for a little bit of forecasting looking into the future, as well as understanding kind of what has happened in the past few weeks and back all the way, the last year and before that as well.
That's great. So it's actually seems like it's very current, and so our dealers have really a good picture of what is happening out there in real time. Now, I think this is probably the time where we want you to do a live demo. Maybe you're welcome to share your screen, maybe navigate through the dashboards, kind of give us a snapshot of what's happening and some of the different products that are available.
Sure. So we have three major dashboards that we're looking at. Um, and there's always opportunity for kind of custom one-off reports as well. But the three primary dashboards that we're looking at here, I'll run through them and give kind of a quick demo. And then if there's any other questions, we can go deeper here. But this is what we call the pre-owned dashboard. So this looks at historical view of what has been happening. On the left-hand side here, we have different filters. We can filter by the type of unit, the model year range, the manufacturer, the location down to province, and then any keyword search. So this is typically things like the model number or a specific item. and then a date range filter as well. So I'll quickly run through this as is, and then we can look at some specific filters. But here, this is all unit types, all model years, all manufacturers, all the way back to the summer of 2023. And we're looking at the average price, the minimum price. So it looks like there's probably a fixer-upper unit here at some point, the maximum price that was available, and this is the number of units that we're looking at in this data set. So in this time period, almost 20,000 pre-owned units have been sold in Canada. This is a trend showing the weekly sales over this time period. No surprise that around Christmas each year, sales kind of go down, and then springtime is when the units are peaking. This one looks at average weekly sales by average price. So overall, the trend has been fairly consistent. We're not seeing any huge dips or huge increases in pricing over time, at least in general, with all of these units. It'll change a little bit as we kind of narrow those characteristics down. Then we can get into some even more specific information. So the number of sales by province, number of sales by manufacturer, by model year. We can see that as they get older, there's just fewer of them around. Prices by location. So here we can see those regional differences in sales. For example, this line here gives us the median price, and then all of these dots are outliers. So they're factually correct, but just some really expensive units. A lot of these are likely Airstreams as we go down here. This looks at prices by manufacturer, so you can see which manufacturers are commanding the highest price, prices by model year, so we can see that as units age, of course, they go down in price to about the 25-year mark, and then after that, they don't really lose too much value after 25 years. And then this is just the list of all of the items that match based on the characteristics up here. There's also a little link to the bottom to the other three dashboards that we're going to look at in a minute. But if I do a quick demo here, so let's say we're looking at only Class C units from Jayco, and we're looking at Red Hawk. Then we can see the average price over time, the maximum price, the minimum price, and how many, whoops, Red Hawk, there we go, how many units are in this data set. We can also change the time period. So for example, if I only wanted to look at, let's say, 2024. So we'll do January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. So this updates all of the graphs that we just looked at a second ago. And this is showing that in 2024, 43 Red Hawks were sold across Canada. This gives the weekly breakdown. This gives the average price as it changes over time. This is the sales by location. So it looks like Ontario and then BC sold the most of this type of unit. Looking at model year, so the distribution of the different sales by model year, price changes by location, only one manufacturer there. Price changes by model year, so we can see that, of course, the newer units are more expensive, and then that tends to trend down as they get a little bit older. And then this table just sorts all of the units that are in that list. So that's a quick overview of the overall pre-owned dashboard. So this is primarily for looking at trends, trying to understand what types of units are moving, where things are likely to go in the future. Probably sitting in front of a desktop, in this case, looking at this, and this is all in the browser, but this is a tool that you probably sit down and spend a little bit more time with. I'll move to the price checker next, unless there's any other questions or anybody wanted to go a little bit deeper there. All good? Okay, so I'll go to the price checker next. So this one is um, made primarily for your mobile device. So of course you can look at it on a larger screen. But the goal of this one is if you needed to quickly check price or get an expected value of a unit, and you wanted to do that just within a few seconds. So we'll use the same idea. We'll go Class C from Jayco, and we'll look for Red Hawk again. Oops. There we go. So this gives the average price, the low price, and then the high price based on the number of units that fit within here. And this just looks at the last 12 months of data. So this is really fresh. And again, probably most people watching this have a good gut feel as what a unit's going to go for. But this is Canadian data that's recent. So this either one confirms your kind of gut instinct, or if it doesn't line up with what you're expecting, then allows you to kind of dig a little bit deeper to understand, okay, is it a regional difference that's changing this price? Is it something about the age of the unit? Is there something else entirely going on? And then you could go back to the overall sold to get a better understanding there. But this one is a nice quick way of getting that immediate gut check on a price. I can move to the currently available units now, unless there's any other questions about that
One
one.
thing, Nick, on that, I'll just jump in here. You can move that model year range, maybe select 2017 through 2018 or something.
That's a good point. So I'll change the model year range here. So maybe we'll say 2017 to 2013, and we can see that it does change. The number of units has gone down because we've tightened that model year range, and because we've brought this to newer units only, that average price has gone up a little bit. So as we move this around, if we get even newer, then we can see that going up. We could even look at maybe only specific provinces. So maybe we only wanted to look at a couple of provinces here, then we can see how that changes depending on where in Canada you are. Yeah, thanks for that question, Dale.
Yeah, I think
Any
this
other
is a
questions?
great, fast way to be able to appraise, the price points, and for dealers if they're seeing a unit coming in on trade, or someone's got one or they're looking to purchase one. It's I really like this sort of condensed version, even though all the charts are fabulous, but just to be able to see what's on the market right now and get real live data.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great recap. So this tool probably looking at when you're sitting down to think a little bit farther into the future, where this tool, this price checker, is immediate, right? What am I going to do today? What am I going to do tomorrow? And really getting to the tools that you need quickly. I'll move to the currently available one next. So this is what's currently available on dealer lots. And this again is updated every week. So fresh data. This helps understand kind of what the competition is doing or what else is out there. So it might be great to see, okay, this unit is coming in on trade, but trying to understand how many comparable units are out there is just one part of that equation as to how long it's going to sit on the lot or how much we're going to sell it for. So this allows you to see what else is out there right now. Same idea, you can narrow this down by type and by model year, manufacturer, province, and keyword. And this looks very similar to kind of the historical data, but this is fresh data of units that haven't sold yet. So looking at where things are by location, by manufacturer, by model year, prices of units based on location, so regional differences there, prices by manufacturer, by model year as well. And of course, we can see that same trend that as units get older, the value goes down, and then that list of where things are. So we'll continue the same theme here, and we'll say Class C, JCO. Let's see if there's any Red Hawk units for sale. And it looks like we have about 20 units for sale, if I can spell properly. There we go. And this is the distribution of where in Canada they're listed right now, the distribution of model years, prices by different provinces, prices by model year, and then the sortable list of everything that's available right now. So that kind of gives us a quick overview of the three major tools that we have there, going from what has sold in the past, so that kind of that historical longer term trends, then the price explorer to get a quick idea of what that unit might go for, and then exploring what's currently available across Canada right now.
That's great. Thank you very much for for sharing that with us. So now, Dale, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you've had a bit of experience with this platform so far because you've been helping us with some of the data and giving some dealership input. So I guess I would, turn it over to you to tell us a bit how, it's helped you, how you've used the product, and some, examples of, if it's helped you make some improve your decision making or, right at the dealership level.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me. We have certain tools that we use at dealerships. Everybody is a little different depending on the dealership. Of course, the gut feeling is there for the products you sell and what your experience is. But when it comes down to actually getting numbers, we rely on JD Power numbers out of the States. We rely on other websites, searching websites. One of the big things, JD Power is based on sales data of American units, and generally we can use that in Canada to get an idea of where we would be. Specifically in the last 6 months, the JD Power numbers coming out of the States have been very different depending on which unit, which segment. Some of them have been right out of whack. Probably will continue to do so as some of the items in trade wars and tariffs and everything heat up with regard to used pricing here versus used pricing in the States. So it's getting more difficult. I'll use a real life example. We had a customer trading in an Integra, it's a very much Integra 24B, very much like a Red Hawk. And the price in JD Power was showing that it was 20 to 30,000 lower than what we were looking at across Canada, looking at websites, seeing what these things were listed for, knowing that kind of product ourselves. The JD Power numbers weren't making sense. But when you're talking about bringing in a trade and you start to worry, is there something I'm not seeing here because these JD Power numbers are 20 and 30,000 lower. So by using this data, we were able to see that, rather than searching websites across Canada and looking at trying to find other dealers that have them listed, this was a full listing of what's available across Canada, all in one place in inventory right now, seeing that those units were priced at the higher number. But then the bigger thing was the sales data to back it up. So seeing the last couple of years of sales of these, and specifically the last year, was showing that yes, they were selling at these values. Now that sales data shows what it was listed for when it sold. Obviously, there's not a way to find out what the actual sale price was, but the fact is it was listed at that value and it drew a customer into somebody's store and they made a deal. When we're bidding these to put them online, we know that we're allowing some money in there for negotiation and everything else. So of course it always sells slightly lower, but that's going to be consistent. The sales data for the last year was very consistent with what's in stock in Canada. And it allowed us to be able to be comfortable in paying that higher number that was just so much higher than JD Power that it just really had us scared. So no, there's some real life, having Canadian numbers in these times, more important than ever, having Canadian data is extremely important. So, and it's a wonderful tool to use, very much like using a JD Power type tool. You're selecting all of your parameters. Where Nick had Red Hawk selected, you could select Red Hawk 24B and it would actually come up with just 24Bs. So it's lots of information and really good data. So we found it extremely helpful.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yeah, we here at the association office, we've had some time to look through and I think it'll complement really some of the other benefits that we have. We've always had new unit sales information, but and have been asked for a long time for some pre-owned data. So now it seems to be a complete suite of information that we can offer our dealer members. So having said that, in terms of a new member benefit, Nick, how is it that people can sign up and join the platform and start to leverage some of the data that's available there?
They can just head over to waterfall.ca, so waterfall without any vowels, WTRFLL.ca. And then if you head to the homepage here, there's 3 different options that we offer. So the basic is just for those really small dealerships that maybe they only want data for one province and they only have the need for one person to be logging in. So at a lower cost, we have that option as well. Most people are kind of in this area here. So $125 a month for access to those three tools that we looked at, all across Canada, updated weekly, and one user account. And then if you need more user accounts, it's just an extra $10 a month per email address. So 125 per month, and then any additional email addresses past the first one is just 10 extra dollars a month. There is a discount with our VDA, so our VDA members get a 10% discount. So happy to partner there. And if anybody does have any questions, you can just head to the bottom here for a demo request. And this, again, this is just at the bottom of the homepage of our website. And then you can schedule a time for a one-on-one real live human, not some AI back and forth, a real live human to go through and understand what your needs are, and then give a demo of the tool. So you can click on any of these and it'll bring you to the login page where you can sign up and add the RVDA discount code in there. And then it normally takes about 24 hours for everything to cycle through, and then you'll have complete access on your device. So you don't have to install anything. It's all through the browser. So you can open this up on your laptop or your desktop or a tablet or your phone, and you'll have access to all the tools that we looked at today.
That's great. And it's a monthly subscription, right? So if for some reason there's no contractual obligation of signing up for 12 months, some people may use it more frequently. Some people may, during the winter, turn it off because they're
Yes.
somewhere else. But it gives a lot of flexibility in terms of picking the types of reports and the frequencies that you'd like as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No long-term commitment or anything like that. If you want to use it for a couple months and then shut it off, there's no penalty or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited that we're able to bring this to our members. Dale, is there anything else anything we've missed? Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think it's great. And Nick continues, I think you're continuing to improve the platform as well, maybe adding some new features that we've talked about. And so, I think it's exciting to see going forward.
Yeah, well, thank you both for joining us today. And again, to our members, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to the RVD of Canada National Office as well. And if you have any comments or feedbacks on the program and platform, please don't hesitate to let us know. So thank you both, and we're excited to get this launched.